Micro brews, dude.
Dude. Making another return to the program, the guy who just does not stop, keeps grinding no matter what, all the way from across the globe, down under, up above, to the left, to the right, depending on what way you're looking. Gough from Beernuts Productions is here.
Thank you very much. I appreciate coming on the show again and again. You're right. You can't get rid of me. It's kind of like a punishment for continuing to do your podcast.
Yeah. It's probably more so a punishment for you than it is for me, but that's all right. Welcome to this circle of purgatory where you have to answer questions from an amateur.
Well, don't be so down on yourself. Amateur's it's a harsh word. I would use the word maybe novice would be.
Right,
how about that?
Something like that. But here to talk about the new film Local Heroes. A little bit longer than kind of a little bit longer, not too much longer than what we normally see from Beernuts Productions, but talk about it a little bit.
Absolutely. So I decided, in my wisdom, of course, that I needed to find some local heroes and do a nice, happy piece about the people in the community who are doing good things. So I interview 8 different local heroes, but it appears that they may not be quite as heroic as first thought. And you are quite right. It goes for 35 minutes, and hopefully people find it very amusing.
Yeah, and the no spoilers, but the ending is something that you're not going to expect, and it's a good one. And entertaining. I was like, oh, all right. You got a little twisty action going on at the end a little bit, which is nice.
Yes, well, like I say, not all the heroes. Well, pretty much zero of the heroes are really heroes at all. Let's be honest; they're horrible human beings who I've tried to paint in a nice light, but it backfires terribly every single time.
What was the inspiration behind this?
Well, it's kind of funny because the inspiration, I kind of was honest with the long drawn out intro that I did, which was that I get a little bit annoyed when people keep telling me that I'm rude or inappropriate, because I just think I'm being funny and I'm having a good time. And, I'm not out there to cause people any grief or offense or harm or anything of that nature. So it really bugs me when people go, oh, Gough, you're super inappropriate and I don't like you, you're rude. So I thought to myself, well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to write something that where I can sort of embrace my inappropriate nature. So I thought I'd set out and I'd make some characters as awful as I possibly could was sort of my goal. And then the twist of turning them all into heroes I thought would be fun.
So people were actually complaining about how you approach your films at times?
I have had, I have had folks who have told me that I'm inappropriate and I'm rude and all of these sorts of things. But I just, like I say, man, I just think I'm being funny and I'm having a joke. And there's never any malicious intent in any of the work that I do. It's done all with the use of the funny bone. I'm not out there to cause anybody any discomfort or harm or anything of that nature. And so I get really annoyed when people say those sorts of things to me. So I thought this would be a good way to stick it right back to them, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And you see that a lot especially in modern day, where people say something or are part of something or write something, tweet something, whatever it is, and there's always some sort of feedback, sometimes positive, sometimes negative, and that kind of fuels their next decision in what they're going to do. And a lot of times you see, people getting quote unquote canceled for such things. So, you don't give in to the pressures. You don't say, what the rules are going to be. They're not going to be dictated by other people. You make your own rules, which is nice.
That's exactly right. I play by my own rules, Drew. That's exactly right. But look, I don't, how can I word it? Like, I mean, yeah, I don't really buy into the cancel culture or anything of that nature. I'm just here to entertain and be funny. And if people want to join in and have a good time, they can. But you're quite right. Everybody has to have an opinion. And for some strange reason, people seem to listen to everybody else's opinion. I don't know why they do that. Just, live your life and be happy and do what you want to do. Hey, look, and I do understand, not everybody has the same sense of humor as me, and that's totally fine. But, I do write on the website, when people go to download a film, they'll see at the bottom of every film it says, if easily offended, please do not watch. So, I mean, that's all I can do. So, if you're a little bit sensitive, then maybe I'm not the guy for you. But hopefully most people can see the humor in what I do and get a good laugh. But yeah, I don't. People when I release something on social media and people write comments and stuff, I will read them. But I usually, if they're negative or stupid, I just laugh. I mean, I don't get upset or offended by what other people say because, I mean, they don't know me. I don't know them. I mean, why am I paying attention to some bloke, Fred 6969 who lives in Atlanta, Georgia? I don't know him. I mean, what do I care what he thinks? So, that sort of thing, it never really concerns me or bothers me, I suppose.
Yeah, and I've watched plenty of your projects and your films, and I've never once been like, oh, this could be considered offensive, or that could be like, I would say like, yeah, I don't even think you like tread a fine line. Like you're, it's pretty much like presented in a comedic fashion or in a way that it's like this isn't serious. This isn't like an actual like thing that you need to analyze. It's here for comedic value. So I don't. Yeah, people that are like that are just like they must really suck in life.
Yes, they must. They must just suck. But yeah, man, I just go about my business trying to make people laugh with my brand of comedy and doing my films, and I'll just keep doing them, and hopefully more people jump on like yourself, jump on board and have a good laugh and get entertained by my nonsense.
Yeah, absolutely. So with this local heroes one, I noticed you're outside quite a bit. We've talked about locations and kind of the pain that comes with securing those locations at times. And I noticed in one of the scenes, a person walking a dog, and I was like, I wonder if that person's actually just a random person and a dog, and they need to sign some sort of release, or is that intentional?
Well, no, it wasn't intentional. It was a random person decided they would walk their dog right through our shot, but I was happy for them to do it because it makes it look realistic. I mean, we're out on the street filming and people walk their dogs, so
Mm-hmm.
good. So yeah, no, that sort of stuff. It only ever bothers me if they like turn and like directly look at the camera. That annoys me because we've had that before when we've been filming in parks. Or the worst one is when you get some old dickhead who's like you're filming in a park or on a street or wherever you might be, and someone wants to come. What are you doing? Why are you doing this here? What's going on? Who said you could do this? And it's like, fuck off. We're just doing our thing. Mind your own business, and we'll be over here. We're not doing anything illegal or wrong, so just chill out and mind your business. But yeah, no, that one's annoying where they get up in your space and they interrupt. That has happened a couple of times now, and that's really, really annoying. But yeah, the old lady that was walking her dog in the background, she could do that as much as she wants. That one didn't bother me at all.
Good. Yeah, I kind of thought that. I was like, he's either they're just either walking the dog or he's like strategically planning this stuff, and then I'm like analyzing. I'm like, well, is that person going to come back later in the show or what? Like, why is this? So I'm glad you cleared that up.
You're putting too much thought into my films, I think, Drew. I think we just take them at face value and move on with our life.
Yeah, it's probably a good idea. So, what would you define as a real hero if you're actually looking for one, like you are in the film? Obviously, the people you encounter, well, not so much. But what would you consider a real hero, especially in the world of Australia? It's probably not that different than America. Well, actually, I'm sure it is. But yeah, what's a hero to you?
That's a very good question. I've never been asked a question like that. I think a hero to me is somebody that lives their life with a really positive and happy demeanor and disposition and treats people with dignity and respect. They don't have to actually do anything, like, I mean, I do find it funny when people go, this firefighter, he's a hero. Well, I mean, he has put his hand up to do that job, and he has trained to do that job, and he's getting paid to do that job. So I don't know that he is really a hero. That's not what I really define as a hero. I think someone who is heroic, is somebody who doesn't allow the negativity of the outside world to get to them, and they treat people, like I say, with dignity and respect, and they live their life in a happy and positive manner. I think that's a pretty cool thing, and that's what I find attractive, I guess, in other human beings.
Yeah, absolutely. But that, I think that's a good definition. It just doesn't translate well when you're looking for a comedy.
No, well, that's why I gave people fake job titles and made them as awful and as horrible as I possibly could.
Yeah, and I think you did a good job painting those pictures and making them see as deplorable as you possibly could without. I was surprised, like nothing. And with at least in the world of America, we got a pretty big election coming up in next week, so I was like, I wonder if some political figures will make their case. But I guess I don't know. I don't know what kind of election stuff you got going on in Australia, but I'm sure it's not as riveting as that in America right now.
Well, I try and stay a little bit clear of politics because it's such a divisive issue. I
Right.
mean, I've got stuck into religion before because I'm not a big fan of religion. So I've had a lot of jokes for religion and all different kinds of religion, but politics I try and avoid. But I have mentioned it occasionally or in passing or whatnot during a piece. I think with local heroes, I thought, to be honest, a politician was never a character that entered my mind. I had other things in mind. So, yeah, no, politics never really came into the brain when writing it, funnily enough.
That's probably for the best because anyone that like even remotely like dabbles with even if it's ironically or in a comedic manner that says like a politician is a hero should be analyzed because none of them I've never met one that would be remotely close to a hero by any
No, I
means.
think that's yes. I think that's a fair statement, Drew. I don't know that you'd have too many people argue with you.
Well, those ones that are following the orange cult in America, they might have something else to say to me. But hey, to each their own, I suppose. But so in the world of Australia, how have things been going? How's life otherwise outside of the filmmaking?
Well. You mentioned elections. We just had one,
Oh,
but it was a state election, so it wasn't federal. It was for, I guess you call them governors, we call them premiers, same deal. But yeah, so we just had a state election last weekend. So we also went through an election cycle, but unlike yours, that goes for 2 years, our one goes for 5 weeks. So that's far more palatable. And even after 5 weeks, you've kind of had enough, to be honest.
mm-hmm.
So yes, but so that's happened, and there's not much else, man. Like I've just been busy making this film. There was a lot to this film because I gave myself an extraordinary amount of dialogue I had to learn, as well as actually making the film itself. So I had quite a bit to do with the film, and now it's just all about promoting it and letting people know that it's out and about. So yeah, no, there's not been a great deal else happening. I'm sad to say.
That's okay. When you're writing something like this, and like you just said, you have a lot of dialogue for this film. Is that intentional, or is that just the way it kind of unfolded?
Yeah, pretty much the way it kind of unfolded. I don't ever intend to give myself a mountain of dialogue and hard work, but sometimes it just pans out that way. I write the script and I don't think about those sorts of things when I'm writing it because it would be counterproductive. It would be restrictive. So I just let the story unfold, and then when I finish, I'm like, oh shit, I've given myself quite a task. But that's just part. I mean, whatever comes next, there might be only a few lines of dialogue, or there might be lots. It all depends on the story that I want to tell. So that sort of dictates what's going to happen. So yeah, and look, I mean, this one was a little bit easier in regards to the location. I knew like there wasn't really too many external locations I had to worry about. I knew I had access to everything pretty straightforward, and there wasn't a great deal in the regards to props and things like that. So, and the people I'd worked with mainly before. So again, the pre-production was maybe a touch easier with other things, but then a little bit harder with some other things. So it all swings and roundabouts when we're doing these sorts of things.
When you go to write, and we might have talked about this before, but I can't remember. Do you like outline kind of what you're looking for? Like, do you start at a beginning, do a beginning, middle, end, or do you have like an idea? You plot it and then you kind of build around it. How do you
Yeah,
do it?
well, I mean, yeah. So a writer, like a proper writer, not me, but a proper writer would tell you that you are correct. You should always plan out your script, and sometimes I have done that in the past. I should, where you say I want this to happen, followed by this, and this, and you make a bit of a timeline kind of a situation, and you have it all sort of planned out. That's how you probably should write a script, and I have done that in the past. But with this particular one, I had the idea of, like I say, I wrote the intro, and then I was like, okay, we'll do local heroes. So I need to get. I didn't have a number in mind, but once I got to the eighth and one, I was like, okay, well that's enough now. But yeah, and I just sort of went through. What sort of horrible human beings can I invent? You make them look heroic, and then they can slide into awfulness. And so that was sort of just my brief that I gave myself. So this one just sort of just rolled out. I guess you would say there wasn't any real planning or structure to it.
Do you dedicate time to writing every day, or is it you kind of think of an idea, or you're like, okay, I'm ready for a new project? I know you said you have a lot of stuff like that you have written down that you like revisit even upwards of like years later, but do you have a set time in your schedule or a day of the week where today I'm writing, today I'm just drafting whatever I possibly can?
Well, I prefer writing in the evening because it's really quiet. I don't like noise when I write. I like it to be like silent. So evenings are good for that because there's not much going on. So if I am going to write, probably 8 times out of 10, it'll be past 7 p.m. and onwards. Sometimes it doesn't work out that way, and I'll write during the daytime. But yeah, it's look, when I have an idea, I'll quickly write it down, and I'll do what I can. There's no structure to it, and that's simply because some days you feel it, and some days you don't.
Hmm.
And it's like anything in life. If you force it, it's never any good. So if you sit down, you go, well, I'm going to write for an hour. But if your brain's not into it, then whatever you write, it's going to be pus because you're just not into it. With creativity, you got to feel it. So yeah, I write quite often, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, sometimes I'm editing stuff. Like sometimes I'll be like, I don't feel like writing anything new, but I'll revisit those few scripts and give them an edit and see what that does. So yeah, I guess I write very often, multiple days a week. Yeah, probably 5 days a week, probably. So, but yeah, the one thing that I do like is for it to be like total silence. I can't play music or anything like that. It's got to be really quiet when I write so I can concentrate.
Interesting. Yeah, that would be. I kind of work in that space too. Well, I don't like the only thing I've been writing lately is like grad papers, or grad school papers, I should say. But yeah, again, I really like prefer. I need it to be quiet. I've tried to do it where music is in the background or something is going on, but I just get too distracted, and then um, whatever I'm doing turns into pus, as you said, which is a good term. I'll have to throw that into my vernacular a little bit. But yeah, so that's interesting. I think that's good. I did have another question, but I forgot what it was.
Well, I'm sure it was fabulous.
It's probably the best question I would have ever asked you ever, but you know that brain fog hits you every once in a while. It's getting close to my bedtime here in the great state of Wisconsin. So, like the other night, thanks for rescheduling this, by the way, when I was like, oh, yeah, good morning. And you're like, oh, yeah, ironically, I'm going to bed. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm sure he is. So I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, but I mean, we could just talk more about beernutsproductions.com, where the finest entertainment lives and breathes.
Yeah, absolutely. You always have a lot of good stuff, but we always talk about a little bit about the beer scene and stuff like that too. So have you been hitting any hooch lately? Going to any ragers? Getting exclusive tastes to anything?
My local pub took my favourite beer off tap, so I wasn't very happy about that.
Oh,
Uh, yeah, no, that's no good at all. But what else? What else has been happening? I actually, since it's funny because when football season's on, I tend to drink more.
mm-hmm.
And our football season finishes the last Saturday in September is our Super Bowl, which my team won, by the way. So well
Awesome.
done to the Brisbane Lions. So yeah, it was good times for me. So I was having a great old time. But I tend to obviously because when I watch the football, I have some beers and eat some fried food and whatnot. But when the football season isn't on, I don't tend to drink as much. So October's been a reasonably sober kind of a month for me. So I've been hitting the gym and exercising and doing things that you can do when you're not hungover. So yeah, I'm just trying to think. The last time I went to my favourite Irish pub to watch my mate Mick bust out the Irish tunes and have some Jameson whiskey. That was about 2-3 weeks ago. So, but that was I always do that as a little tradition after I finished making a film and I've sent it off to the IT guys to put it up on the website and all that sort of stuff. I always have a little bit of a celebration at my favourite Irish pub and have some Jameson's whiskey and whatever else they've got going on. They do these baby Guinness shots, which is like 3/4 Kahlua and then Bailey's on the top. So it looks like in a shot glass, it looks like a little baby Guinness because you got the dark with the creamy top. So they're sweet as. So if you don't like sweet kind of liquor, then it's not for you. But they go down very easily. So you punch down a few baby Guinnesses and some Jamesons and a few. I like Kilkenny, the Irish beer. It's a nice beer, but yeah. So I always do that to celebrate the release of a film. So that's probably the last time I got amongst it with the beers and whatnot.
Yeah, I would say that's good, and I would say we're in the thick of the NFL season in America, and I don't. Do you watch any American football at all?
I watch the Super Bowl every year, but that's about it. That's about it.
Oh.
I'm just trying to think. I've never actually been to the only when I was in Canada, I went to a few hockey games, and I
Okay.
really dig hockey. And I was living in Calgary, and the Calgary Flames were killing it. So I got big into the Calgary Flames. So I like my hockey. I have watched and I understand, obviously, the NFL and the NBA and all of those other American sports, baseball and whatnot. But yeah, I'd like to go, like, because I love my sport. It would be cool to head over to America and even like not even just the Super Bowl, but just go to a game because I remember when I was in New York, someone told me that it's like a 2-year wait list to go see. Is it the Giants? I think it might be the Giants have a 2-year wait list to just get tickets, like just even crappy tickets. There's a wait list to get. So, but it would be cool to go to an NFL game and watch it live because I mean the one thing that the Americans do super well doesn't matter what the sport is. It's an entertainment. Like in Australia, we could learn a lot about how we package a sporting event. Like you Americans, you do it properly. There's entertainment before, during, and after. Like it's an event. You go there and you have an absolutely fabulous time because it's an event. And you don't even have to leave your seat. You can get your hot dogs and your beer and everything. Like yeah, so we could learn a lot over here when it comes to putting on sport. Like I go to watch the Brisbane Lions play at live every week because I'm a member of the team. And so there's 36,000. They'll sell out every week, and there's 36,000 in the stadium. And the ground announcer is like amateur hour. Like it's like there's no comparison. I mean, I often think to myself, if I had some of my American friends come over and watch a game with me, they would be like, is this like a practice? Is this when does the actual stuff happen? What's going on here? Because like even during like the halftime break, the entertainment, and I use that word very loosely, is atrociously bad. There's no cheerleaders. Not that you need cheerleaders, but there's no music. There's no atmosphere. The game's great and that's fantastic, but it's they need to understand you got to market it and package it as a whole thing. That's so. My point being is, if I was to go over to the States on a holiday again, I would absolutely try and tie in an NFL game or an NBA game. Go see the hockey, of course, but I'd try and tie in a few sporting events because that would be awesome.
I would definitely recommend if you're ever in Wisconsin to get to a Green Bay Packer game. And you mentioned the New York Giants have a 2-year waiting list. Well, when it comes to season tickets in Wisconsin, the Green Bay Packers, people wait their entire life. So my son is on a waiting list. He was put on the waiting list days after he was born, and he will be probably well into his 30s, maybe 40 by the time his number is up. So my wife is on the list as well, and she's still waiting. So there's a long waiting list. You can buy like single day tickets here and there. They're super expensive, but yeah, to get those season tickets, those are like gold in the state of Wisconsin if you can get those. And then you have to fork up money. You have to pay like 10 grand up front just to have them, and then you're doing all this other stuff. But it's pretty wild. But yeah, they are a lot of fun to get to those two events. You're right, and especially in Wisconsin, we do these things they call tailgates. So it's just like a pre-game party. You're outside, you're grilling. It's better when it's for whatever reason in the dead of winter. It's just like more magical because you're all bundled up. You have like 30 pounds of clothes on. You're slugging beers. You're eating bratwurst and all this other stuff, and then you just you're obliterated before you even get into the stadium, and then you go enjoy the game. If they win, you have a celebratory drink somewhere, and yeah, you find your way into an alley. I don't know.
Yeah, see, I love everything about what you just said. That's my jam. I would dig that. Do you attend a Green Bay Packer game like one a year, or is it really that difficult to get tickets? It's more like once every 3 or 4 years you're able to get out to a game.
If you know somebody, it's easy to get tickets. So I know a fair amount of people that have access to season tickets, and they're willing to sell me tickets. So I went to the game last year when they played against the Kansas City Chiefs, and Taylor Swift was not too far from us. So every time the Packers score, we got to flip Taylor Swift off, which felt really good. But I do try to get to them every year, but it doesn't always happen because at times you're spending upwards of $200-$300 just for one ticket, and sometimes you're just like, yeah, I got other things to do.
Well, I heard that Taylor Swift was keen to come on Dude with Brews on a porch, but after you were flipping her the bird, she got all upset and offended, and now she doesn't want to come on your podcast.
I know. So, all in the heart, all in the spirit of sport, though. In real life, I think she's great.
Actually, to be fair, I have heard really lovely things about her as a human being.
Yeah,
so but yes, it's. I could imagine the byplay would be a lot of fun. See, when I was over in the UK, I went to quite a few soccer games over there, and that's always an amazing atmosphere. But they don't do any entertainment because of the the football violence and whatnot that goes on. Mm-hmm. They want you in there, and then they want you out. And you're not allowed to take your drinks down to the seats or anything like that. So it's very restrictive. But all during the game with the chanting and the singing and all of that sort of stuff is super cool. So that's a really great atmosphere, but it's very different because they're not because they take it so insanely seriously. It's a very different kind of an atmosphere to what you get over in the States. It's still an atmosphere and it's still very good. It's just different.
Yeah, absolutely, and that could be the next topic of your next film. You can talk about American sports and all that good stuff. But Gough, I appreciate you coming on the show. Let's tell the folks where they can access the new film and all your other stuff.
Absolutely. So yes, beernutproductions.com is the one-stop shop. It's the only place where you can download all the films. I believe there's over 30 movies there now. So there's lots of films there for you to choose from. Plus the audio downloads and a whole heap of other stuff, the podcast that we have going on. So there's all kinds of awesome entertainment at beernutsproductions.com. And of course, if you want to follow me, I'm on all the socials. So you just type in Beernuts Productions to Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all the rest of them. Even Threads, I've decided
Oh,
to. I
yes.
don't know why, because no one uses it, but I'm even on Threads. So you just type in Beernuts Productions and up I come.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on, and we look forward to talking to you after the next project.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Drew. Appreciate your time.